Cheers, Canadian. We are talking about Pinot Noir, Riverstone, and much more. Stay tuned. Coming right next. Cheers. Happy Wine Wednesday, Canadian wine lovers. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome. It is Oh, here you go. Mira Boucher here, right with us. So, welcome to our weekly show from all over the country. People from the Atlantic provinces, Ontario, Quebec. It's right now, what, 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock here, BC time. So, we are ready to talk wines with all of you. So, Mira, how are you doing today?
Great. I have to say, this is the first cold day in a long time. So I'm looking outside here in the Okanagan, right on the lake, Okanagan Lake, and it is like cloudy, foggy, rainy, like pelting rain, cold. So it's a perfect day to cuddle up with a nice glass of red wine. We're going to taste at least a couple reds today, right, Carl?
I have one, two, three, four, five.
Hi.
But in your glass, you got two red poured in your glass, one labeled 13, one labeled 19. So I'll explain to you what's that mean in a few minutes. And you have a nice Riesling in your glass to start. So let's start with a nice sweet, not sweet, but a regular Riesling with I would say probably a 25 to 30 gram of residual sugar made by Ferox. I absolutely love that Riesling. Ferox Vineyard from Niagara on the Lake. That's funny because, cheers. We were having lunch today, even a nice lentil stew. And Mira said, "Oh, maybe I would have liked have something white with that, something with a nice texture, maybe with a little sweetness." So
something that can cut through that.
There we go, right? So I pulled that up and really, really pleased because it was fun because this week we had a nice chat with Fabian Rice and Stephanie Ferox at Ferox. And great people, super enthusiastic about what we're doing. They make some fantastic wines. And I had here open the 2017 Cab Merlot, who absolutely blew my socks off. I have to tell you the story here. But also, so we're going to talk Ferox. We're going to talk Black Bank Hill, a brand new player on the 20-mile bench appellation. So I had a chat with Taylor this morning, and there's some fun and exciting stuff coming up with Black Bank Hill. I tasted their Syrah this week, and when you look at old world style Syrah, hey, it was freaking bang on. So we're going to talk about that, and we need to talk about back vintage, and we need to talk about Riverstone. You know why? Because we tasted this weekend one of a very special wine, a wine like we taste not like maybe 2-3 times a year, not more than that. So
this is a wine that I literally obsessed over, which happens very rarely. Like, I like wines, I do, and I'm like, oh, I want to try. Like last week we had that white port from Howling Bluff, port style wine, and I obsessed over that over a couple days because I just wanted to have some blue cheese with it. I just felt like it would go so well with blue cheese. So Carl had to go out and buy some blue cheese to go with that white port. But then on Friday night, we try this 2015 Milestone from Riverstone. And holy cow, I dreamt about it all night. Carl made me save like a third of the bottle so we could retaste it the next day. And I was resenting that. I was like, no, I want to finish that bottle. It was just so
Keep talking. Just give me 1 second.
You're going to go get the bottle?
Yeah.
I have a picture of it because it's pretty empty now. I'm telling you. So, yeah, it begs the question, like, what makes an exceptional wine? And I think that when you get a wine at 95 points or above, I think it's a wine that makes almost everybody that tastes it go, wow, in a really good way, and that's what happened with this one.
Yeah, this, I mean, when you take some extra step to make sure that you're not out for lunch, make sure that what you're tasting, and I have to tell the story, okay? It's too funny because I had to call someone from the wine industry on Saturday morning to say, hey, can I please stop by? I would love for you to taste a wine for me. Like something like what? Okay, please taste that wine and tell me if it's spectacular. So that's what I had to do on Saturday morning, because what I tasted on Friday night, this very bottle, I thought it was so freaking fantastic that I wanted someone outside of me and Mira to kind of back up what I was thinking, just to I don't know, just to make sure that I felt like I was doing the right thing. I don't know. I needed someone to back my thoughts. So I called.
Whenever Carl gives a score, anytime Carl gives a score over like 94, he gets really like, okay, this is a big deal. Because like you've only ever given like no more than 20 scores that high, right? So.
Yeah, and this wine, so that Milestone, like absolutely incredible. And that's funny, because the level of finesse and the level of refinement in that bottle, it's rarely, it's like I've rarely experienced that. And that's funny because I told a couple of people it's maybe one of the top 10 Canadian red wines that I've tasted ever. Like, it's that crazy good. It's that crazy well made. Like I said, the level of finesse, the level of refinement, the level of precision in the flavors, the definition and the depth of tannin, the softness, the acidity, everything, like it's crazy. And and it's funny because like Mira obsessed over it, and
I'm still thinking about it. Like that was just a very, very, it's one of those wines that just transforms your evening. Like you don't need food with it or anything. You just, if you know you're going to open that, it's going to be a great night. So I'm sure you guys know what that's like, because everybody's got their favorites, but boy, that is one of my new favorites. That's for sure.
Well, slow down on favorite at that price point, though. You need to remortgage the house.
Yeah, so there's not many Canadian wines over $100. There's a small handful, and this is one of them. But it's worth every penny. Like I remember, so it's $125. I remember that night telling Carl, this is worth every penny. Like I would pay more for this. It was so awesome, so good. And there's an interesting backstory with it, isn't there? Because there's only like 30 or 40 cases ever made.
There's only 44 cases of that made. So yeah, first and foremost, it's the rarity. Second is the story behind it. So the owner, Ted, the owner of Riverstone, had a fascination with Chateau Cheval Blanc, one of the most famous Grand Cru Bordeaux in Saint-Emilion, where they're famous to make their almost not 100% Cabernet Franc, but mostly Cabernet Franc with a touch of Merlot. So Cheval Blanc have been famous for 100 years now, since the 1853 appellation date. So like, yeah, so Cheval Blanc 1947 was something that Ted always had in mind, and it's one of the most famous wine in history. And yeah, this is his fascination, and it was his homage at Chateau Cheval Blanc, his replica of Chateau Cheval Blanc Okanagan style, and he made it only twice. He made it in the 2013 vintage, and he made it in 2015 vintage. So that's the one we had, is the 2015. It's funny because he never sold that wine before. He had it available for his wine club members a couple times in a special pack, but he tucked that into his cellar, and he has an idea to maybe to do a little special release about that wine soon. So that's why when we went down there to get ready for our feature with Riverstone next week, and he said, Carl, by the way, can you taste that and let me know what you think? And yeah, so we got, before we open any other of the Riverstone bottles that are going to be listed in our feature next week, we had that one. So we're like, holy shit. Yeah, so that's how everything started. And after that, we opened the Merlot, the Cab Franc, but the Sauvignon Blanc is probably, if it's not the best Sauvignon Blanc in the country, it's one of the very few top Sauv Blanc in the country. And it's been that way since the 2020 vintage. And I've been saying it out loud that Riverstone is probably the best Sauvignon Blanc producer in the country. I put it up there with the Mayhem, Anarchy Sauvignon Blanc. I put it up there with the Ferox Sauvignon Blanc. Maybe like there's a couple fumé as well that are extremely well made from Canada, but Riverstone is probably one of the top three. So with that, anyway, so Riverstone was voted number 5, I think, small winery of the year at the Wine Line National Wine Award. They've been voted in the top 10, I think, 3 times in the last 5 years. We have in the pack coming up, I think there's like 4 or 5 gold medal wine in that pack. So anyway, something really, really pretty darn spectacular coming up next week. And yeah, we had the privilege to taste that Milestone 2015. So to go with that idea of that special 2015, Ted called me back, and he's like, Ted and Angie, and he's like, would you like to have a library release in your feature? I'm like, well, yeah, we always like library release. The members really love library release. So tonight I'm announcing that Monday we're going to feature the back vintage of 2013 of the Stone Straw. So right here, it's 2019 Stone Straw, who just won gold at the National Wine Line. But we're also going to do the 2013. That is in your glass beside you, Mira Boucher. So you had, that's the number. That's what the numbers mean on your glass. 13 for the 13 vintage. So you have 2 vintage of the Stone Straw. Okay. So let me tell you about the blend. Okay. The split for the 13, who clicks at 14.1%. So Stone Straw and Cornerstone, the 2 flagships wine of Riverstone, are Bordeaux blend. Okay. So, and their single varietals are the Bordeaux blend, the Bordeaux varietals. So that's very like the concept at Riverstone. It's the Bordeaux blend. So from the 2013 vintage, the blend is 78% Merlot, 11% Cab Sauv, 4% Malbec, and 7% Petit Verdot. Okay, so Merlot dominant at 78% for the 2013, and the 2019 Stone Straw you're at 70% Merlot, so 8% less of Merlot, but with more Cab Sauv. That's the difference. A little bit more Cab Sauv in the 2019. Okay? So here is what you have in front of you. So I haven't tasted it. I just poured them. I opened them this afternoon. They've been breeding, but I didn't smell. I didn't taste. So we had it live en primeur. The taste of the 2013 and the 2019 Stone Throw from Riverstone.
And I'm excited because we will test the hypothesis I have, which is that I like the reds older and Carl Boucher here likes them younger. So I'm just curious. I almost want to do it blind, but they're already labeled. So.
I'm not creepy. I'm not creepy, but yeah.
You like them younger in the reds anyway.
I sure do. So the 13 smells like there's not a whole lot of oxidation on the nose, so that's pretty promising. Lots of sweet tobacco, like pipe tobacco, cedar, licorice, graphite, like really like, yeah.
It's a nice nose, really nice nose.
And the newer one is much more herbaceous. That you got some dry some dry fresh herbs, some violet. Also, yeah, the primary fruit has not come out yet on the new one, but on the older one, you definitely have that tobacco, licorice. Okay, let's do this.
Wow.
Really soft texture, right?
Yes, I love the texture. That was the first thing that I thought too.
Really, really soft. It's like satin, velvety. There's still acid in there. So now we're talking about 10 years old, right? 10 years old this year. So really soft. The acids are still there. The tannin is completely integrated. I mean, this is not a wine that you decant. It is not a wine that you age for another 5 years. But this is not in decline, though. It's not a wine who's dying at all. There's a lot. You can see, yeah, it's, okay.
Okay, so now the 19, right? And I think that's their current release, isn't it? Or do
this
they
is the current release. That's the wine who won gold at the Wine-A-Line. I haven't rated this one. I tasted the Cornerstone this afternoon, which is their flagship. Their, I mean, the one that, like, it is the triple gold medal. It got a 94 points from the BC Wine Trend. I gave it a 93 points for the Cornerstone. Cornerstone is almost like a third between Merlot, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, but there's a little bit less Cab Franc, I believe, or less Merlot with Malbec and Petit Verdot as well, but at 35% of Cab Sauv and Merlot.
The reason they call this one Stone's Throw, apparently, is because the vines, the 4 varietals they use, are all within a stone's throw of each other in the vineyard. So they're all planted very close by. All right, so that was the 13. I'm getting my 19 out.
So the 19, I mean, the 19 has like snappy tannin, dark chocolate. There is it's young, it's vibrant, it's filled with energy. Yeah, it's pulsing. This can age for a long time, and it's 2019. 2019 was a cooler vintage. So to me, that's the vintage, the BC vintage, who has lots of aging potential. One of my favorite vintage in terms of balance and aging potential.
Yeah, we've
I thought,
tasted fantastic reds, especially from 19, right?
yeah, but that's what things started with the syndicate, right? With the black market
Yeah, the
syndicate 19. And I had that conversation. I remember at the very beginning when Clay Martin and I from the BC Wine Review were going back and forth on the 2019 vintage, and both of us were commenting a lot on 2019 is such one of our favorite, and I still to this day really, really, really like the 19 because of the freshness. It's not a vintage who's heavy on fruit bomb or because it was a very hot vintage. No, it's a much balanced vintage and bright with fresh and bright acid, and you totally see that in this wine. If I compare the Stone Throw to the Cornerstone, I would say the Stone Throw, it's much more on red fruit, and the Cornerstone is more on the blacker fruit. But yeah, so now let's talk about like the difference between the both. I mean, it's all about integration. 13 was a really hot vintage, so I'm surprised that the 13 vintage has held up that much. Like this is really, really, really cool.
So I did a Mira thing. I'm not as experienced, obviously, of a wine taster as Carl, who's been doing this for 30 years. But what I did is I tasted them really quick side by side just a few minutes ago. And I have to tell you, they're very different. And yet it's pretty cool how you can see that they're the same wine, same vineyard. But yeah, that's what stood out the most for me was that 13 has that texture. Everything's just so well integrated. And 19 is a little spunky, a little bit more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the 19 is like really vibrant, right? It's that young teenager jumping all over the place and like keep running around the house, and like whoa, calm the fog down a little bit here compared to that experience. Pause, like compose. Everything is well together. Everything is so well integrated.
Gracious, yeah,
really gracious. There's a lot of black licorice in there, tobacco, licorice, kirsch as well. Yeah, really cool, really cool to see. So 2013 Stone's Throw and 2019 Stone's Throw. So both are going to be available next week. So I thought that because I really wanted to talk about the milestone, I thought it was going to be a good idea to taste them live to give you an idea of what's coming up. So really cool. Yeah, absolutely. That 19 deserve a good decanto. I truly believe that 19 will. I can't wait to try it again tomorrow when you just breathe a little bit, and there's a nice earthiness. So what's special also with Riverstone, just like the name of the winery, the vineyard is located in the ancient riverbed, so it's really rocky, really stony. So the vineyard doesn't have a ton of soft soil. It's like rocky, stony. So the wine has lots of minerality, and it's really obvious, especially with the Merlot. I tasted the 100% varietal Merlot earlier this week that I gave it a 91 plus point. There's so much minerality, graphite and like charcoal style. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's saltiness you get in these Stone's Throws. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the really like unique thing of that vineyard, where it's like literally the vineyard it's planted on the riverbed, on the old riverbed. So it gives that wine that real rocky, stony minerality that to me brings a really cool personality to the wine. So yeah, we're gonna have. There's also going to be, and I'm going to taste it live next week. A sparkling white Merlot that is going to be in the pack as well. So we're going to taste it live next week. So I'm really excited about that wine as well. So yeah, really, really cool stuff coming next week with Riverstone. So
fab. Love it. So when we talk about wines discovered, we often get carried away. We forget, but we taste quite a few every week. I think it's just this past week we've tasted what, 20, 25 in the last 4 days?
kind of, yeah.
It adds up. So one of the ones you mentioned was Black Bank Hill. This is a brand new winery. Like they literally opened a month ago, right?
Yeah, they had their launch party. I think it was late August. So yeah, exactly. A month ago.
And this is
Yeah.
out in Niagara.
So that's Black Bank Hill. This is their 2019 Syrah. So this wine was made with fruit purchased from the Parkey Vineyard, I believe, from Wismar. Park, Wismar. Anyway, 2019 vintage, they purchased fruit because they started to make wine as virtual winemaker before they got the winery up and running. So 2019 was the first wine they made with purchased grapes. Now 100% of their wines are made with their home vineyard, I believe. Anyway, so we have some pretty cool stuff coming up, I think is for the last week of November. But this Syrah that I tasted this week, it was, if you're a fan of the Rhone Valley wine, so south of France, the Rhone Valley, they're known for their Syrah in the south of the Rhone, blended with Grenache, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Côte du Rhône Village, and all that. But on the northern part of the Côte du Rhône, they're known for their Syrah with a little bit of Viognier. So this is their class, or 100% Syrah. And there's that really typical classic French style Syrah with finesse and meatiness, like smoked meat and blueberry. That really, really, really classic French Syrah from Saint Joseph, Hermitage, or Côte Rôtie. So when I tasted that and I opened it up and I started to smell, and I was like, and I told Mira, I was like, holy shit, this is French style to the T. Holy moly, the nose was meaty, herbaceous and floral. And yeah, and over 3 to 4 days, we tasted that Syrah, right? And so darn good.
Really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty spoiled, aren't we, Carl?
Absolutely. Well, there's that Syrah that was really good, and also that 2017 Cab Merlot from Ferox, that Bordeaux blend here. That was ouchily spectacular. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, very intricate, very sort of complex and sophisticated,
right? There's like, there was nothing plush and like no, it was like really like rational. It was really like intellectual, but all down to the basic, to the cab soap, to the frame, to the backbone. It was really, really cool. So that was one of my highlights of the week, that's for sure. And yeah, so we've tasted a lot of great wine in the last 7 days, and now we're gearing up for a pretty exciting weekend.
Yeah, so this is Carl with some of his babies. And it's funny because we've never done a Pinot Noir tasting marathon. We've done Merlot, where we've tasted like dozens of Merlots at the same time. We've done Chardonnay, clearly, where we've tasted like 67 Chardonnays this last time, all open at once. We've done Rosé, we've done Sauv Blanc, we've done Riesling, we've done Cab Sauv, but we've never done Pinot Noir. in the last 3 years. So Daryl has reminded us of this every time we've done a varietal marathon. Thank you, Daryl. And because he is a Pinot Noir fan, as I'm sure some of you guys are, stopping by today. So we're doing it. We're doing it this Saturday starting at 3:00 Pacific time, live on our channels, except for Instagram. They don't allow us to stream to Instagram at the same time. But we'll be on Facebook, YouTube. So stop by starting at 3:00 Saturday. If you are a Pinot Noir fan or you want to know more about Pinot Noir or about Canadian Pinot Noir, we're going to open at least how many, Carl? 25? 30?
No. I have more than 25 because I already have 20 something here. And tomorrow I have to do some stuff. I have at least 10 more to pick up tomorrow. And so yeah, we're going to be probably much around the 35 mark. So it's not going to be that 5-hour crazy show. I'm planning more of a 3 hours, 3 hour and a half. We're going to have some special guests coming in. So either live on site or tuning in via StreamYard with us, but some new faces. There's some new labels, some new guests, also some older guests that you guys already know. I know that our friend Mark Simpson at Mythology Vineyard already has confirmed that he's going to join me for 15-20 minutes to talk about Pinot Noir. But we also have some other people from fairly newer wineries as well. So it's really, really exciting. Pinot Noir's popularity here in British Columbia is, especially in the Okanagan, are like increasing a lot. We've been known for so long for the big and bold red, and Pinot Noir were more for the Ontario market. But more now, it's the second most red, the second most planted red grape varietal after Merlot. So the popularity of Pinot Noir has increased a lot, and we realized that we have so many great sites for Pinots here in the Okanagan. And when you talk with people like Richard De Silva, where they truly believe that the terroir of the Okanagan is perfectly suited for Pinot and pushing for more Pinot production. So yeah, here we are, Saturday afternoon. It's going to be an interesting 3.5 hours of discovery about Pinot Noir. We have some classic from Ontario, like we're gonna have Batchelder. So Thomas Batchelder, we're gonna have one of them. We're gonna have Clausen Chase, Carlo, some like pretty big name. We're going to be open in terms of Pinot, but also some new player that we haven't heard before. So some new discovery. Also Leaning Post. I'm really excited to taste the Lakeside Cellar Blanc de Noir, 100% Pinot Noir. Traditional method sparkling from Lakeside that I'm really excited about. Also really excited to taste the wine from Solvero, a new winery in the Garnet Valley here in the Okanagan, made by Alison Moyer, that I'm going to meet for the first time tomorrow. So yeah, and I know that Rob Abersley is digging into his cellar at Black Market because he has made a Pinot Noir in 2017. So yeah. So we have some pretty cool treats, some pretty cool stuff. And tomorrow, Saturday from 3 to 6 online, and Sunday, if you are local in the Okanagan, we have the Pinot Noir Open House. So if you guys want to stop by and taste the Pinots, they're going to be here. So yeah. That's what's going to happen in the next couple days around here.
Yeah, so if you're local, stop by for our open house on Sunday. You can taste them live. But the next best thing is, and truly pretty fun, is to stop by during the live marathon. Karen is on. Hey, Karen, cheers. So it's fabulous seeing all you guys. We love this very rainy, very wet, foggy kind of evening we had here in the Okanagan, and perfect night to open some Canadian wine. So thanks so much for stopping by, and cheers, you guys. By the way, if we had any doubts if I still like older wine versus younger wines, this dispels it. I definitely like the older wines.
So you're a big fan of the 2013. Boom. Cheers to you, Mira. I mean, this is a great.
That's my lucky number. I mean, 13, so.
I believe that. I had no doubt that you're going to go for the younger one. The 19 is opening up right now. I'm getting rid of the of that herbaceousness. Who's going away a little bit more. I'm getting more of the primary fruit right now. I know that the 19 is showing really, really, really well coming up in the next couple of, and I'm excited to taste that tomorrow to see how it turns out. But this is a 92 points to me.
Fantastic.
Beautiful structure. There's such a great structure in these wines. There's such a great minerality. We featured Riverstone 2 years ago, I believe. So this is really exciting to see the second iteration of an offer with. So I remember featuring some Malbec back in the day, and now to go through that with a little bit more refined selection, library, sparkling white Merlot. There's going to be a rosé as well, and obviously their classic Sauvignon Blanc. So really exciting for next week.
Yeah, and shout out to our members in Calgary, Jared and Lisa Goodnesson, who actually introduced us to Riverstone.
That's true. Forget about that. Yeah.
Longtime members. So even before we featured them, they said, you have to come with us to this place. They came out to the Okanagan and showed it to us. Oh my gosh, I'm looking out. I wish you guys could see the lake right now. Okanagan Lake has this patch of sunlight coming onto it, and it's gorgeous. So we better go enjoy and have some dinner. I hope you guys have a fabulous evening, and we will be back with a report about Pinot Noir on Saturday, tasting at least 30 Pinot Noirs live with you guys. Winemaker interviews, all the stuff.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, chat with you next time.